Yo, what's up? It's me. I'm back from break and new Patreon tutorial, obviously. So today we're gonna be talking about like matching CG footage with real footage. So I've done a few attempts on doing this. We have a little robot man over here, and all these cans are fake as well. You can see a little more exaggerated version, and like one of the cans are getting like kind of chopped off there. You can see that, and the screen reflections is not really lining up too well. But I've been able to do this because I got a new camera, a 361. It's the Mi Severe. I'll link it down in the description. Feel free to buy, like, if you want to get HDRIs. This is definitely not a requirement though, but it will make your life way easier. So yeah, I'll show some examples that I've done. Some of them are really bad. I don't like this one at all because when I did like the HDRI for this one, the camera couldn't really capture the sun because I had some wrong settings. So I had to like not use the HDRI and use my own sun. It looks kind of bad in my opinion. But we have a few other ones. This one is a lot better in my opinion. It's still not perfect, but I'm still trying to learn this stuff. And we have this one. Dang it, I didn't save the animation. Frick. Anyways, I also made this robot thing. I modeled it myself, textured it myself, and rigged it myself, and I'm just, like, so fucking happy with it. I'm really happy with how it's turning out. So that's really fun, and I'll be getting a Rococo suit anytime soon. So that's gonna be awesome. So y'all can expect a bunch of stuff coming up real soon. So yeah, this is the model. I could actually just go through it with y'all if you want to. But yeah, it was really fun rigging this guy. So basically what I made every part, like every little section of their body, a separate part, and kind of parented them together. So all that works, and then I took this part and parented it to this specific bone, and when I move this, everything kind of works. And for these stretchy parts, I use this really underrated thing called lattice. If you've ever wondered what the lattice does, you can basically, I'll show you real quick. So let's say this is our underneath part of the body. You can just add a few subdivisions and then add your lattice like that, and in the lattice properties you can just crank this up a little bit if you want to, and if you add a lattice modifier to this guy, you'll be able to select the lattice and then edit the lattice, and then also edit the cube, which is really cool in my opinion. So like, bye bye shape keys, we don't need you anymore. Kinda not though. Yeah, it's like really cool in my opinion. And then you can, for example, hook like all these vertices to new objects like this, and then you can parent that object to, like, let's say this is the shell of the thing you're doing, like that. You can like parent that to the shell, so when you move that one is gonna deform with it, and you can do like a bunch of cool stuff with this, and I didn't know about it before. So yeah, that's really cool. And that's, oh, please don't delete that. And that's how this thing works. So I have like these getting deformed correctly, so they don't like stick out when this dude is moving, and it's really nice, and it's working with mocap data, and you can parent the Mixamo stuff to it as well. And for the shoes, I just photo scanned my Vans and just chucked them on there, and it works, which is really nice. I don't like these little tree stump feet thingies. I have no idea what that is. Yeah, I could probably fix that with some pipe assets or something, but that will happen later. And I also got into texture painting, because you can apparently do a bunch of cool stuff with that. Let's see if I can. You guys know texture painting, but you can like these tiles here, for example. You can go into texture paint and just draw on whatever you want, which is really cool. Anyways, let's get into making this combined CG footage thing. So preferably you have some sort of 360 camera. If you don't, it's gonna be pretty darn hard, not to be honest, but like you can still like kind of do it without a 360 camera. But I just bought one, so I'll be doing some content with that, and I'll be showing y'all how to kind of track. And just a disclaimer, I'm not really too good at this. I've just been like getting into matching CG footage with real footage like for only a few weeks, but I'll just keep practicing until I get good at it. But just wanted to make a little quick video about it. Let's jump into the real world. What the fuck? Let's jump into the real world. Okay, we're in the real world. And this is where I want to place my CG object of choice. Yeah, let's do it. So preferably do not film this on an iPhone, because it's gonna be a pain to track. But I'm on an iPhone and it does work. So yeah, you just wanna act out some motion, and when that is done, you place your CG camera on the floor, or preferably a little higher, but I don't give a shit. So in your app, you basically just wanna take a bracketed HDRI, and we're gonna combine those bracketed photos of different exposures in the computer. So let's jump back into the computer. Okay, we're back in the computer, and we have our bracketed images taken from the HDRI all in here. And what we want to do now is we want to open up EC HDRI, or I think it's EC HDR. Yeah, it costs a little bit of money, but it's awesome. Alright, so now you just find your images and drop them in there, and you just say yes, and that's the correct settings, and it generate HDRI, or generate HDR or whatever. So now you can just exit this out, and you should have your HDR. Here it is. Perfect. So now you just head on over to Blender, and we should now track our footage. So you just go to motion tracking, open your little footage thingy. Where is it? Okay, here it is, I believe. Yeah, hit set scene frames, prefetch. You already know how this goes. And I'm just gonna detect some features right off the bat. Let's do like 0.01, set the distance to 40. Yeah, that's a lot of points, and I'll see how this goes. Track. That's not too good. Didn't go all the way. So I'll go to the center here, kind of the center. Hit detect features, and I'll track them forwards. Oh, wait, set scene frames. There it is. Okay, never mind. That's a lot of points, and I'll track them backwards as well. Hopefully they go kind of through. Okay, perfect. And I'll go to the actual center this time. Detect features. Track backwards. Or I guess that's forwards, and track backwards. Okay, so now we should have a pretty messy track, I'd say. And what we want to do now is go into, we should probably check normalize, go into the solve, check keyframe and focal length. No, let's not check keyframe, because I want to do this. I believe there's a pretty big perspective shift between like 40 and like 70, or maybe like even like 30. Let's do between 30 and 70. Solve camera motion. Please don't be too high, but it's a pretty messy track, and we have not done that's very high. That's a really high pixel error. So let's do some cleaning up here. Filter tracks, let's set it to be 20, so we get rid of those like really bad tracks. And let's solve the camera motion again. That's better. Still pretty bad though. Still pretty bad. Let's see if we can filter those tracks again. Let's do 15. Let's do 12. Delete. Okay, solve camera. Ah, yikes. We see that we don't have that many tracks on this part, so let's let's maybe detect some more features and track them. Ah, they're pretty janko. Detect some more features here and track them. Do even more features. Track them as well. Okay. And we will go in here and filter the tracks again, and maybe deselect them as first. Okay, delete. That's basically everything. Let's filter tracks at 20 at first. Let's see how this goes. Wait, solve camera motion doesn't work. Wait, let's see if we can track everything backwards again. Solve camera motion. 1.5. That's better. That's way better. We have some weird tracks going on here. They're kind of sticking out. Maybe delete that one. And let's solve it again. 1.69. Okay. We're getting closer. Maybe we can change like the keyframes here. Let's do 20. See how that goes. Cause usually you can get a pretty okay. That's way worse. Let's do 40. Solve camera motion. 1.69. No difference at all. Let's do 60. See what happens. Okay, that's worse. Do 30 again. We just gotta like find the best one. Okay, that's could still be better though. Could still be better. Let's see if we can find some manual tracks here. We should probably try to clean them up as first though. So filter tracks and let's do 15. Get rid of like the bad ones. Yeah, we need to kind of hand track maybe here. At least try to do some better tracking. Wait, what did I do there? Okay, let's see if we can track this guy. Let's try that again maybe. Track. Okay, it kind of goes weird here. Delete that. No, can I not delete that point? We'll see how this goes. Yikes. It's a lot of trial and error going through this. So maybe we should delete. What happens if we clean the tracks? Set the thing to 1. Delete. That's too much. Filter tracks. No, that's the wrong one. Clean tracks. 5. Let's do this again. Solve camera motion. At least 8 common tracks. Where do they all disappear? I feel like it's kind of where is it they disappear though? Is it here? We will detect some more features. Let's do distance of 25. That's a lot of tracks. Hopefully some of them will stick. You never know. And we'll track backwards as well. Okay. And let's hopefully not delete them all when we filter tracks. Delete. Okay, we basically deleted them all. That's not too good, man. That's not too good. Definitely isn't too good. What about 20 at least? Gotta get rid of those. Solve camera motion. That's way better. Look at that. 0.67 pixel error. I am definitely happy with that. That's really good. But yeah, you just gotta like go through and like just get a lot of tracks and hopefully some of them will stick. Okay, so we have all that set up, and now let's hit set as background and set up tracking scene so we get that scene going. And then we want to create a floor, so I'll select some points on the floor to make it a little easier here. We'll select these 3. Floor. Okay, good. And then the origin should probably be this one, set origin. Origin is basically the center of the track. So where is everything? It's inside here. So I will go in here and kind of see. It does track really well. Look at that. That's a good Blender track, if I've ever seen one. So we'll probably have to rotate the camera so it's kind of lining up. I like to do that. We want it lining up with the floor so we can kind of reconstruct the scene a little bit there. Okay. Let's see if this is tilted correctly. I don't think so. Let's tilt the camera. Okay. Does line up so far. That's a little funky. Maybe the camera should just go up a tad. Actually, to make this simpler, if you want to like build out your scene, I recommend to enable the trackers. Motion tracking. Here it is. They are pretty darn big. Okay. Where can we find like a good floor? Because most of them are on the floor and like on the wall. So if I select the plane and the camera, so we can kind of move these trackers on the floor. Maybe rotate them a tad. And I believe there's a way of scaling them down. Yeah, look at that. That's better. And let's see. Does this all line up? It does not. We want the centers of the tracks to be on the center here. Okay. So like that, basically. Let's see how this looks then. Okay, that's lining up way better. Perfect. So I just want to create the ground real quick so we can get that as a reference to where the robot shall stand. And I extrude this out. And it's going to be a pain to recreate kind of the environment if you don't have a good track. So I would just like suggest getting a pixel layer that's less than 1. And then this is going to go really smoothly, but yeah. Let's see, that's not good enough. Let's make that kind of a little better. Wait, what? Oh, wait. We gotta do that. Put this right so it kind of lines up there. Perfect. And we put this so it lines up with the edge. Perfect. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna just extrude this out so we can get the this plane over here, the wall, and look at that. We have our scene kind of reconstructed. So now we just gotta add in our model of choice, and of course it's gonna be Mr. Robot guy over here. So I'll just copy him over. And he will probably be massive, yeah, because this scene is not to scale correctly. But I'll kind of make him fit like that. And I'll rotate the guy like so. Let's maybe scale this guy up. He would probably be a little bigger than that. We gotta show off the nice shoes in the beginning. Okay. It's not too big. We'll do that. Perfect. So, let's load in our footage. Oh, it's actually already loaded in. But if we go into render mode, we should see that the lighting is not really matching up because I'm using an external HDRI. But we already did an HDRI. So, if everything went well, we should be able to just load that bad boy in here. Okay, so right off the bat, we can see that this is really dark compared to our footage. And if you want to hide that, you can go into film, transparent, and in the camera settings, I would recommend to set the background images. I recommend to set the opacity to 1, so that will actually just mimic the footage. And yeah, we can see that it's pretty dark. So just go into the world settings tab here, and I'll crank this to like 7. Now let's do 10 or 9. Yeah, what is the best? I believe 9 is pretty good. And if we look at if we just hide this for a second, we should see that you can see that this is really the footage is pretty, because it's filmed with an iPhone, is pretty saturated. And if you compare that to this, it's a big difference, because the HDRI like 360 camera does not really do too much with the image afterwards. So we probably should add in some saturation in here, like 1.4. Let's see how that looks. Okay, it's too orange, so that might just be an issue with the camera color. Yeah, that's better. Okay, let's see how this looks. That looks way better, but I notice now that it's rotated the wrong direction, so I would recommend to just rotate the thingy a little bit until you get the correct angle that you're filming from. Perfect. So if we now unhide that, it should properly track into the scene, and also have the correct lighting. But I see that the beginning of this is kind of weird, so let's just trim that bit off. Wait, why is the animation not working? Wait, maybe I should go in here and move it. Okay, that makes sense. And he's standing on the camera. So one thing, when I recorded this, I put a little pen with white coat there, and the 360 camera, just for reference, because it's kind of nice to have some reference when doing this sort of stuff. So what we should be able to do is, before doing this, we gotta unhide, and we want this to be a shadow catcher. We want like shadows on our footage. So what you can do is you can make a new material and add your image, and you just add your footage to this image instead. This one, perfect. And you just crank up the frames, set it to cyclic, and auto refresh. Perfect. So to get this to get projected correctly, you go into the modifiers, just add a UV project, set the UV map as your UV map, and the camera as the camera. Look at that, but it looks weird, so we gotta subdivide this a bunch for it to look correct. It still looks weird, and that's because it's stretched for some weird reason. So you just gotta stretch it back until it looks kind of good. And let's see, you kind of want your footage to line up. We need to just move this around, and it's basically going to project the footage onto the plane, and it should like stay kind of where it is. Oh, that's not too good. Wait, maybe I should stretch this back. Oh, maybe it's supposed to. I don't know. Anyways, doesn't matter too much, because we just want the light to bounce off of this one onto the robot, and also we want the robot to catch some cast some shadows onto this. So I'm just gonna plug that into the specular and into the normal, using a bump, obviously. So we made this wall here, so we might just want it to line up a little better with our footage. I'm just gonna slide that in there. Perfect. and do the same here. Yeah. Okay, that's better, and we don't want this to be visible when we render, so we just want the shadows basically. So to do that, you just go in here and into visibility and hit shadow catcher, and it will only catch the shadows, which is pretty cool. So yeah, we now have our background in there. We have our shoes and it should be looking fine. Yeah, it should be looking pretty good. So if we want to render this now, let's do that. Render image, and just to make sure that everything works fine, usually when you do motion tracking in Blender, it usually adds a bunch of weird stuff to your image, to your composite. So yeah, we don't want it to composite in the actual footage, because we are gonna composite this inside of After Effects. So let's delete all of these, all those, and this is only what we want. So I'm also gonna throw in a denoise in there. Yeah, perfect. And for some reason the shadows don't get denoised, and I don't know why. Like, you see that there's still, like, it's kind of hard to see, but it doesn't have any noise. It does have noise, what the fuck am I talking about? But it doesn't it's not able to, like, denoise for some reason. I have no idea why. But that's your setup. I'm gonna set this to 50 and I'm gonna render this all out. So I'll see y'all in like a few minutes. Perfect. So the animation is now done, and I'm in After Effects, and we'll just try to comp these in. So new composition from footage, and you're gonna open up your movie clip basically, and here it is. Yeah. And what you want to do now is hit File, Import File, and you want to import those images you just rendered out. So I'll try to find them real quick. Okay, here they are, and you just lay that on top. So I see that I rendered this in a lower resolution, so I'll set the composition settings to be the same as my render settings. And I will obviously have to scale down the clip then. Like so. Perfect. And it's not tracking. That's why you have to stretch your composition if you're rendering in 24 frames a second. Because when you import these, they will import as 30 frames, but I recorded in 24, so I will have to stretch that out by 125. Okay, so let's trim that off there. And okay, the track looks pretty solid, but so far it doesn't, like color wise it doesn't really match. And the iPhone had some, like, you can see the ground gets more like saturated here, and that's something you'll have to like compensate for, but like hopefully you don't have that stuff applied. But you can see how the shadows are a little noisy, and I still don't know a fix for that. So if you do know, please tell me. Anyways, let's try to match this. So a great tip from Clint is to use the levels and set this to be red, and then go into red and try to match the different channels up. So let's see here. We're gonna try to like match this. Like, there's not really anything I'm going for here. I'm just kind of going by eye, seeing what kind of does match compared to the red. And we'll go to the green, into the green, and let's see if we can kind of find some good matching here. Gonna bring it up a little. Maybe make it a little brighter in the midtones. Bring that up a little. Yeah. And let's go to the final one, that is blue, and let's see what we gotta do here. Maybe make it a little darker. Yeah, like that. Okay, So let's get back into RGB, and that looks terrible. Probably because I did some issues with the green here. Should probably bring that up. Maybe bring up the red a tad, maybe. Yeah. And the green as well. Okay, and already that looks way better. I can see that this whole shot is a little more magenta-ish, so I'll try to fix that. But you can see those shadows look a little funky, so I'll try to bring down the reds so it doesn't really become like super red in the shadows. Okay, maybe I do want that red though. I don't know. You could render out the shadows separately though, if you want to, but I don't know. But I will probably add a Lumetri color to this, and add just a tad bit of tint into this. Maybe like 10, so it's a little more magenta. Yeah. And then we could keyframe the saturation part, so you can see that it's pretty desaturated here, and then it kind of gets like super saturated for some reason. So you can just add a keyframe to saturation, then bring it up on the robot as well, so it kind of matches. Let's do 125. Okay, yeah, and I believe it gets a little darker there in the saturation, so I'll add a keyframe as well, bring it down to 105 maybe, and I can see that it becomes a little more magenta. You can see how it kind of shifts color from being a little more green to a little more magenta. So I will probably go into, yeah, I could add just animate the tint, I believe. So we'll set the tint to be 5 here, and then add a keyframe and just crank that up to 15 or something. Yeah, and I believe the midtones are looking a little too dark in my opinion, just from my eyes. So I'll go into the color wheels and just bump them up a tad. Okay, and also CG footage is always too sharp, so always remember to add in a blur. I'm gonna do the fast box blur, set it to 1, and I'll also add some noise before the fast box blur. But what does that do? Okay, get rid of those weird ass shadows, which is nice. And because iPhones have a little bit of denoising and like sharpening, I'm gonna add a sharpen and add like, wait, After Effects? Okay, good. Just sharpen it up. Let's do like 50. Yeah, but the blur is too much. Let's do 0.5 there and 30 on the sharpening. Okay, that's better. I think it could get a little more yellow, ideally. So that's just maybe bring in the red a little more, kind of decreasing the green and decreasing the blue, so we get that yellowy look there. And you can see, like, just after a little bit of color grading, how it fits way more into the scene. It's still a little too blurry though. Let's do 0.2 on the radius. That's better. I believe it looks a lot better. Oh, how fun would it be? Because I see that you get these reflections there. Couldn't it be cool to have the robot and the reflections? I should probably have thought about that before. I mean, we could probably composite it in there if we had a brain. But I don't really have much of a brain. That could be an issue. That could be kind of fun. Actually, let's do that. Let's flip and do that. So basically what I'll do is I will add a marker there by hitting shift right click, and I'll add a plane. What am I doing? Rotate it on the Y. Yeah, it should track pretty fine, and I'm just gonna line it up here like that. And let's make it the same material as the other one, material 4, but I will, and yeah, I gotta add a projection modifier as well, like that. Subdivide it a few times. Actually, I'm gonna subdivide it and I'm gonna crank, wait, no, subdivide, crank it up to like 3, and then I'm gonna also crank up the fractal so you get a little bit of warble in there. Wait, maybe I should apply the scale first. Subdivide, bit of fractal. Ah, dang it, I gotta apply the scale. Control A, apply scale. Okay, now I try that again. Barely a difference. I'll just move these out myself and shade smooth, obviously. And also do that. Okay. And we should now have it kind of work, but we want it to be reflective, so I will make it a new material, and I will bring down the specular and bring down the roughness. We should see the robot though in the reflections. Huh? Maybe the reflections are just too baked in there. Probably. Oh yeah, wait, specular has to go up. You can kind of see it there. What if I remove the base color then? What will I see in the reflections? Do I need to make it metallic? Yeah, probably. I'll make it metallic, and then to only render this part out there, I will start the render at 67. Probably, yeah. And I will hide everything else. I'll take the whole robot and move it all into one collection. I'll call it robot, and I'll make this whole collection set hold out, so it will not render the robot, it will only render reflections and stuff like that. So technically we should only get a reflection here. Yeah, look at that, perfect. And it looks pretty good so far. The final touch will probably just be to select this one and just stretch it out a tad. Yeah, perfect. So we just render that out, and we don't need to render the shadows, so I could probably just delete this whole thing. Delete, and I'll render this at 20. I'll do 25 samples, and I'll render this out real quick. Render animation, and I'll see y'all in a few minutes. Alright, so the render is done, and I will just import that bad boy right away. Here it is. Okay, so let's see how this looks. Yeah, we probably need to position this correctly and also stretch the time, like that, or like no. Wait. I feel like it's not really lining up. Okay, there it is. It's not really lining up though. Is that better? Definitely not better. Who cares? It will just be pretty subtle, I believe. So, do we do screen? I think we do screen, or we do multiply. Definitely screen, or maybe yeah, add? No, screen. And then we add some nice opacity and some blurriness, some like Gaussian blur. Yeah. Look at that. Oh, it's really subtle, and I like it. Oh, that's really good. You definitely do not notice it, but if you do, it's kind of like unconscious thing. But this track does not line up at all. Like, okay, yeah, it was just one frame wrong. Now it's way better. Okay, look at that. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I think it's too green still though, in my opinion. What happens if I add these effects to that one? Barely any difference. But I'll set the midtones to be less green. Yeah, that's way better. Look at that. Before, after. Hell yeah. I'm pretty happy with this, like, how it is right now. Maybe we could add some more noise, possibly. Do 10. Yeah. Okay. Like, that's pretty good. Honestly, that's pretty good. The motion blur seems to be pretty close. Yeah. I'll just add a little extra black bar over there. Yeah. And I'll do we could do some color grading even, because it's iPhone footage. iPhone footage can be kind of tricky to color grade at times, because it's already been color graded pretty heavily. But I have some LUTs. I haven't used LUTs in like days, bro. Honestly, because I usually just do all my color grading like customly now. But oh wait, I'll have to wait, kind of dig these up. I used to use them a lot when I did like short films back in the day, with my iPhone. Okay, let's see how this goes. Maybe add some film convert. I don't know, man. I do like that iPhone look. It's kind of what I'm going for. Like someone just like found a little robot in their house. Yeah, we'll just do the good old iPhone footage. Okay, well I'm really happy with this result. And I hopefully you guys learned something at least. Yeah. So like doing compositing can do a pretty big difference actually. Like we can compare before and after here. Right out of Blender does not match at all with some compositing. And every time you load it in, you think, ah, that looks pretty good, but you just gotta go in there because it doesn't look good, most likely. Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you guys learned something. I already said that, but yeah, have a good one. Bye.